Hello there, my name is Recho. I used to review cartoon series, anime series, so something completely random, and today I'll do a special segment I like to call Forgotten Cartoons. Forgotten Cartoons is a segment I do once a month, only focus on cartoons that only lasted 1 to 2 seasons, maybe 3, and the show get cancelled, or maybe have a chance to actually have a happy ending, but for some reason everybody forgot it. Of course, I usually won't talk about shows that only lasted for a limited time, but sometimes I break my rules. If the show is very popular but it never aired in America, whatever a different country, I probably will talk about it. It just be obscure for Americans, in other words. And this time I gotta talk about something is probably the most interesting, the best made cartoon I have ever seen, and the reason why this cartoon got cancelled is so surprising and shocking that I kind of wonder why. I'm talking about The Legend of Calamity James. This show was created back in 1997, ordered by WB Kids for basically samurai cartoon purposes. The reason why they ordered this cartoon is because during the time back in the 1990s, they were looking for the new big hit, something actiony. So they decided to call some studios to make a cartoon, like a Western vibe, just to make it different enough. But they didn't understand who they actually called, specifically a Japanese studio, to make Calamity James. But they misunderstood one major thing. What is friendly? What I mean is, what we Americans understand what friendly is something completely different country, because the Japanese culture, friendly is more like Dragon Ball Z, Demon Slayer, or basically Bleach. Those shows are very violent and gritty. It can kind of over sexualize some characters, but once more, it's friendly. So yeah, they got something that is super serious, super dramatic, and the words keep dropping. The most infamous words you should never say in the kids' family show is death, kill, murder, and just assassinate. Those words are not allowed to say on a American television family-friendly samurai cartoons. When they got the project on the hand on the channel, the producers just freaked out and pulled out because of their words. This series was too real for kids, and that is more like a compliment, because they ordered something and didn't understand what they got or what they actually ordered, because this show delivered of the mature, kind of realistic Western, but almost like a Western, like a romanticized between a spaghetti Western film. What I mean is, you do a Western film, there are two versions of. There's the Hollywood dramatic dream, what you think was the West, or the realistic stuff that called spaghetti Western. And Calamity James, or The Legend of Calamity James, fused both ideas in make this show. Basically, this is the best way to describe it, kind of like Tombstone. If you've ever seen that good Western movie, watch Tombstone. Tombstone does both things at once. It make it kind of like a fantasy myth legend of the West, but do show all the gritty parts of the real world of the West. And Calamity James does that unbelievably well. I mean, they do have some setbacks at the beginning of the series, but after they find their pacing, it just blows you away. I think one of the biggest examples, watch the first 30 seconds of the first episode. They were basically showing a whole town trying to hang a North American tribe member because they killed one of their own. But the twist is, it was the wrong Indian. The fact they were a completely different Indian tribe who murdered one of their own, it just chose some random North American. And that is the most shocking thing I have ever seen. A a friendly samurai cartoon I have ever seen. You could tell why this show got cancelled automatically. The question is, what did I actually see all 30 episodes, or how? Well, thanks thanks actually from the Canadians, because the Canadians bought the rights of the show the same time was actually purchased. Every time you have the rights of some show, you do basically whatever you want with those that show. So if the show got canceled where they belong, you can still show it. No one would say no to you because you have the rights. This is the reason I actually know this existence. And also I was there at the beginning. I was there with WB actually promoted with bumpers of the lynching of Calamity James. It was sort of a wide promotion in the Samurai cartoon community. Something that this will be the biggest thing you ever know. It's something that we're proud, but at the same time surprising finding out what it was and they putting down. It's one of those sort of ironic things that was so interesting. Anyway, now how is the show? Well, you focus on the lynching of Calamity James. It's not the specific story of Calamity, it's sort of just the myth, the legend, and they focus on that very specifically because this version of Calamity James, she's probably half North American and half Irish, I guess. Once more, it's not exactly like the original myth, but they take it sort of inspired and took some interesting ideas, especially Calamity James herself, her design, that she is super white and has strong red hair. She kind of looks like a dead body walking, but it doesn't really look bad. It actually looked really good, especially Calamity James herself. She looked like a supermodel because how she looked, especially her personality, that she is sort of a badass, especially she had a very calm, very low way of talking, especially with that Kaibo accent she has. It's one of those characters when you just see the first episode, you kind of fall in love with this character because she is very striking, very dominating, very strong female character. They just want to know more. Who is she? Why is she doing this sort of specific job, hunting bounty? But specifically, they never really describe her job exact details. That the show described her job is she's a tracker. She hunts people down, and you think she is sort of the bounty hunter in a way. Yes or no? You could say she was sort of a assistant sheriff to the sheriff of Deadwood, that she just hunt down very questionable people and put them back in jail, and that's basically what she does. But I also love that Calamity James as a character, she is a very multi-deep character, that she's not just a badass, she's sensitive, she's happy, she's concerned, she has daddy issues, and that made her sort of interesting because you really get to know or understand who is the legend of Calamity James, and you just find it interesting. Especially this show is sort of a fun western film doing crazy stunts and also likes to blow up a lot of things. It's almost felt like the creator of the Transformers movie, Michael Bay, directed this anime series. It feels like that because almost every single scene kind of blows up and people trying to kill themselves. Yeah, I think that's one of the most interesting about this series is that the whole setup, they take it really serious. I'm not joking. When the show starts, they walk slow. They don't have that much music selection. This really requires just the sound of the air and people just walking and talking. In fact, that's kind of the reason why this show gets so intense. The sort of realism of the sounds, like someone walking very close to someone to actually kill them. You just see the person popping their gun and the revolver and just put bullets in the chamber one by one. You just hear the bullets fall in the chamber very slowly and steadily, just sort of building suspense. That sort of rush, you don't know the character will die or not. I mean, of course, it's a samurai cartoon, but it's just done so well. It's just shocking. And basically, let me describe the legend of Calamity James. It's basically Samurai Jack, but instead using robots and machines. This thing is using real people. People will get shot. Of course, they try to kind of slow down the violence. Someone gets shot and falls down, it still moves, say I'm okay. But they try not to do that often, and that's what I mean. That sort of realistic kind of things, especially the things this show says, it just shocks you even more. Besides the realism and the guns, is that people are legitimately racist, sexist, or just really out there type of people that feels so real and shocking. I think one of the best points is episode 3, the episode why the show got canceled in the US. It's about this racist guy who is just racist about black people. He's sexist. He's basically a violent person to his child and trying to redeem him, or at least make him understand. And on top of all this, his child said something I wasn't expecting. He says, "Why do people look like chocolate?" And I mean specifically the African American soldier who went to help. Yeah, a child said this in a Saturday morning cartoon. That is one of the biggest no-nos in the Saturday morning cartoon sort of friendly. You see what I mean? Why this show got cancelled? It was just too edgy for real life. If you could put this on normal cable, I mean something like TBS, CBS, or ABC, it feels right at home. You put this show on their channel, not a WB friendly cartoon. It's one of those, it's just shocking. Of course, it's not perfect. It takes a little while, especially episode 1 and episode 3. They're well done, but it's not really well executed finale. Also, the half of the season starts a little bumpy, trying to figure out how everything works. But once again, when they find their groove, they find their groove. It becomes better even each episode. Also, the criteria of the West, they really trying to show you different sides of the West, things you really didn't know actually could happen. Like Diamond has an expiration date, you have to be careful what to do with it. Or moving in the huge big cities, that understanding what her job is, hunting other people, or these being meeting the president when he used Calamity Jane, her special skills. Those kind of things make this series just so different, refreshing, and it never really talks down to the audience. It really does respect your opinion. Yeah, we're not gonna talk down to you, especially the West is something that we're glad we passed on, because the West was really hard to live in, and they show it. In fact, there's a special episode they show how difficult to live in the West, specifically like a little girl who wanted to be like Calamity James, and Calamity James explains and shows you this job is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to be tough as nails. But I love it even most is all the side characters, or the whole cast itself. They're diverse, specifically the voice actors that I wasn't expecting. When they make an Indian tribe talk or Indian character, they hire an Indian voice actor to play that character. If they need a Russian actor, they get a Russian voice actor for one of the characters. If that person speaks Spanish, British, or just play American, they will hire specifically that type of person to play in the show. And that is just surprisingly shocking. On top of all this, the animation is incredible. How to describe it? It's sort of like the Tim art style, the Batman with no title, Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, and Superman. You see those shows, that sort of Tim sort of art style. Like, guys are big and bulky and women are very thin and very beautiful. Yeah, that sort of art style didn't in the West, but did a sort of kind of like Samurai Jack. That sort of cinematic sort of style. They use a lot of heavy shadows, heavy lighting. The very contrasting to see the main lead, how she looks. It's because of her style and art just really stands out and blows you away. And something I'm surprised they never attempted to reboot this series, because WB has the rights. And also I'm shocked that they probably forgotten because how really serious it really was. I'm surprised people even remember this series actually exists, except for the Canadians. That's the only people who knew this show exists, and the people who watched the only 3 episodes. Of course, if you still want to see this series, you can. You could buy in Amazon the DVD set on 13 episodes. That's where you could find it. Costs like $24, or you can buy it in Apple Store. I think the only 2 places you can find it. But it's something that you should watch. I have to say yes. It's one of those series. It's just so well done. Of course, it has its issues at the very beginning. I said it before, but when they find their click, their pacing, it really works. Disappointing this show got canceled way too soon, because it's one of those could be one of the greatest cartoon ever existed. If it didn't have the chance to show you. It's one of those that has so much potential, but unfortunately didn't have the chance to show you. But of course, I had one more thing to say. Do you remember the legend of Calamity James? And of course, if you're Canadian, it's kind of obvious. If you're American, I'll be surprised. But besides that, what do you think about the legend of Calamity James? You remember it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Comment down below, let me know. I really got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.